But you also know that I have CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and it's getting harder and harder to manage a heavier bike off road. And a DRZ is not necessarily a whole lot lighter than a DR-650, but the suspension is going to be better, skinnier between the legs. There's a few things that's just going to make it a little bit more easy to manage and handle. I've actually got the DR-650 listed, but there's stuff going on that we don't know about this bike right now, and I wanted to talk about that. So Suzuki's not showing us the price yet, and I have no idea why. So we go to the overview, and we're still getting the TBA for the price. I don't know why, but they have made some changes, and I've seen a lot of people very resistant to this. Um, Here's what I do think, and I'll predict it now early in the video. Suzuki does not want to put an 8 at the front of the price on this bike. The last thing they want to do is have an 8 and a comma on a 400cc dual sport. I think the price on this bike is going to come in between $73.99 to $76.99. I think that it's going to be higher than a lot of the competition. KTM right now, they have produced this enduro. Everybody understands KTM's story. So they went to file for restructuring or readministration because they overexpanded too quickly and overproduced too quickly. Then they had issues like the cheese cam on the 790s. Well, this enduro right here, and I made a spec sheet, makes 44 horsepower and 29 pound-feet of torque. It weighs 351 pounds compared to the DR-Z at 333 pounds and 375 horsepower at 28 pound-feet of torque. So why a DR-Z? We know the old model is $7,100, $7,199. So why are we going to still consider Suzuki? Obviously because it's Japanese quality, but now there is all this competition. But let's not forget how versatile the bike is itself. The bike is extremely versatile. The aftermarket may not be there quite yet, but if we go to Pro Cycle, we're moments away from them adding this bike to it. I'm sure Cherubies will be out here with a tank any day now. I'm sure Seat Concepts has something already lined up for it. If you click on the DR-Z400 and you look at how extensive it is, it's only a matter of time before they take this 4S. My theory is the actual competition for this bike is going to be bikes like the Adventure R that KTM is releasing, the 390, which weighs about what a DR-650 weighs, and it comes in at another very cheap price at $69.99. And the CF Moto, the Ibex 450. I'm putting this in that same category. I'm doing it, it's heavy, it's 425. I'm putting it in that category because they market it riding in all the same places. They market that bike like it's a dual sport, even more than they do a Himalayan, which I think that they try to market that bike more as a road bike. But this Ibex 450, I haven't seen it marketed in any way as a road bike, really. So this is kind of the class. But this DR-Z4s, you could really do what I call a junior middleweight build on it, especially if you wanted to do something like a Trans-America Trail. But I would consider that the actual competition. Now, the main gripe that I'm seeing about the DR-Z4, and I see everybody pissed about this. Everybody is so pissed that it doesn't have a sixth gear. Any of these bikes, with the exception of the CF Moto, when you're going 80 miles an hour, there's no such thing as going 80 comfortably on a bike that weighs less than 380 pounds. There's no such thing, because any wind, a mosquito could fart in front of you at 80 miles an hour and it's going to make that bike shake. Being on wet roads, anything like that. More experienced riders, sure, it may not bother you less, but newer entry level riders, especially, which that's going to be a big demographic. That's going to be 33% of the people looking at this bike. They're not going to be comfortable. It's that sixth gear. it's not what people I think are making it out to be necessarily. Now, also, it's a little bit less footwork when you have that fifth gear. Now, one of the things I want to show you to give you a little bit of peace of mind, if that is a concern, here we can check it out on Suzuki's website. Actually, everything in yellow. I saw this in Ogre's video. He is a dual sport channel. Please check it out on YouTube. Very helpful guy. I've actually had questions online on Reddit that he's answered. But look down here at this gearbox. There are, looks like 5 different cogs that have been changed. I also read about the design of the engine. So several of the gears and the cogs are different. I have a feeling that they've widened the ratio. I can't find any literature that they did that, but also one other thing that makes me think that they widened the ratio is they've talked about some of the tuning on the motor and it being a little bit more for luggability. That leads me to believe more for top end that they've gotten a taller gear up there so that they can pull a little bit, put maybe like a little bit of a I guess it would be an undersquare or a longer stroke to have more torque to pull a taller gear, but also have it be more torquey down low to pull on a trail at a lower speed, because the whole thing is you want to be going slow enough on a trail where you don't feel like you're going to stall and the gear's not too tall, but you want to be able to go at a high enough speed to get to the trail. So I think what they've done here is pretty smart, but you have to worry about the competition that's going on if you're Suzuki, because these bikes, some of the buyers of bikes, they get a bike like the CF Moto, and a lot of people that buy a motorcycle, they only put 2,000 miles on them in a year, 3,000 miles before they sell it. So if someone tells you that they don't think this KTM is very reliable, that doesn't really matter to a lot of buyers that are only going to buy the bike and own it for 18 months. And that's a lot of bike. Look at that with a skid plate from the factory. It's got the windshield. If you go to this page on KTM and you're looking at specs on this, right here, I'm going to highlight this section. They have the complete power part catalog filled with performance and style enhancing add-ons. So KTM doesn't really need Pro Cycle. Why did they price this bike so aggressively? They're thinking about the DR-Z400. The DR-Z400 being the main competitor, KTM having a bunch of leftover 390 engines because they overproduced so many things with the perfect platforms to put them into, the most perfect platforms. They can produce this low-cost bike, which gives the dealers a low-cost floor plan. They have something very good to compete with the DR-Z. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, it's so much more expensive than these other options. But your CF Moto 450, you're going to be looking for parts on Alibaba. The KTM, you may run into network issues. I'm not worried about the restructuring because I don't think or the re-administration, I don't think that's really going to hurt them as much as people believe it will. I think a parent corporation is going to take a hold of that. I don't think this is going to hurt KTM as bad, but I do think that network issues, dealer network and servicing issues will be a problem. But if you're looking at these bikes and you want to do the DR-Z, but you're pissed about the gearbox, you're pissed because you don't know the price, look at everything they changed right here. I want this to be a discussion. Please leave your comments down on the bottom. Please leave some bikes and some points and some topics that I didn't mention or didn't bring up. Tell me some things you don't agree with. I'm still kind of finishing up. I've got one more month of chemo, so I'm definitely scatterbrained, but I've got all this energy from sitting still and not being able to ride right now, and I'm up for discussion. That's the kind of energy I have. I'm not really strong enough to ride right now, but I'd love a good talk. So if you like that, please like and subscribe, and love to hear what you have to think or have to say, and love to hear what you think and what you have to say. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.